right, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Living Better podcast. Today I'm with Stephane Gauthier. He's a registered massotherapist for the Nordik Spa, which is the biggest spa in North America. And me and him go a long way, so we recently reconnected because we got on the same path of trying to help people. And today we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about massage and the benefits of them. On the show, Stephane, how are you?
Thank you, Mathieu. I'm doing very well. Thanks, even though amid this crisis. But I think we're all living through it and we're dealing with it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a bit about your background. I remember when we met, we used to be on the path to becoming police officer, and now you took a totally different spin into wellness and helping people and working at the spa. So how did that happen?
Well, it's a big story. It's a life story, and it's always continuing. So it all started, I wanted to be a police officer, but then life came at me, and I wanted to help myself either with relationships with either my friends or girlfriends and issues I have with my ex or things like that. Yeah. And it always came back to me. It was my duty to get those things in hands and go forward with it and deal with it. Yeah. And so it all brought me to meditation. Okay. At some of my work at a grocery store, some lady, very nice lady, she starts to talk to me about chakras and things like that. And I was a little bit skeptic with it. Yeah, for sure. Things like that. So it literally opened me up to all that whole new world and how I can deal with a lot of those things on my own with tools that I can do. So that's what started my journey.
An old lady at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
She's very nice, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so for people who don't know about the chakras are energy centers in your body, right? So yeah, supposedly 7 chakras, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think can be almost an infinite number. I mean, the universe is so big, even our body or so small. Yeah. There's a lot. There's different systems of chakras. But then again, I didn't close myself to that. I always expanded to other practices, different types of meditation, especially yoga. Yoga is more towards asanas and positions. Yeah. But I went also to India. It was in Mumbai for a 3 months course. Yeah. Okay,
cool. So you did your yoga course in Mumbai.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. How was that?
So that was nice. It was a really good experience. Obviously destabilizing if you go on a trip for the first time in your life. Yeah. So I was going there alone, and it was an intensive course. We only had like Sundays off. Okay. So other than that, we were always practicing and learning yoga. Okay. So it was really interesting and really inspiring. Gave me a lot of tools to work with. Yeah. And just before that, also I learned more meditation that we have here in Montebello. Okay. It's called the Vipassana Center. Okay. They have some all over the world. And this is non-lucrative, and they're only donation-based. Okay. So they don't ask for any price. They're not charging anything. If people, they do as they feel. They can give back with action. Okay. They can give back with money. They can give back with help. So this center, they help to learn you a way of meditation that is to see the true self or to realize the truth as it is. Okay. So it's really, it's a retreat, and that helped me also a lot. And
so you went there to that retreat?
Yeah, exactly.
And how long do you stay there for?
So it's a 10-day course.
Okay. That was in Montebello.
Okay. And I also went back in India. So when I was in India doing the yoga course, after that, to deepen my practice, I went to the Vipassana Center that they have in Igatpuri. Okay. Which is 2 hours and 3 minutes away from Mumbai. Wow. So it was quite interesting, again, very enriching. And because it's a lot of introspecting. So like
introspection.
Yeah, exactly.
Introspection. Yeah.
Sorry, because I'm French. So.
I'm French too. So sorry, guys. We're working at it.
So you go inwards and you observe. Like you observe either the reality as it is. It can be your breath. It can be a sensation in your body, and you deal with it. So you observe it, and if it's pleasant or unpleasant, you just observe it as it is, and you accept it, and you move on to another part of your body or whatsoever. You can go and learn it online.
That's called mindfulness, right? It's when you're aware. Exactly. And I think I'm having another guest that we're going to talk about that soon this week, Thursday. But anyways, I think meditation is the absence of thought, and then mindfulness is being more present, right? So one is like trying to, really just make a void in your head. And the other one, I think it's being aware of things.
Exactly.
Like you were saying, sensations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in your experience, what did this do to you? Either in your wellness or your life, or like doing meditation, that journey with yoga, how did it transform you from the man you were before to now?
So those are all, I would consider them external tools.
Yeah.
So having the right tools to build a house is always essential. I mean, you can build a house with your own hands, but then again, your hands are tools. So having the right tools can help you deal with situations and how you overcome them.
Okay.
So that helped me a lot with either my issues that I had with anxiety, stress, with anything that had to deal with my life, any life, because we all have our problems and we all have solutions to them as well. So by doing those practices, it really opened up my eyes to I am the person that is responsible for me. Yeah. I can overcome these issues, and there are ways, there's possibilities, and it really helped me for that. Also with my relationships, either my family, with friends, it's a really big eye-opening situation. So it was really good, and it never stops as well. So that's what's nice about it. There's always some to discover. There's always going to be. So
yeah, no, I get it, because I've been on that path too, and I've started doing meditation after my dad passed, and I needed to, control my emotions better and stuff like that. And it makes you really realize a lot of things about yourself, and makes you, like you say, accountable. So after my dad, I was in a depression, right? And I remember like I was kind of like seeking help from people and my wife and people around to get me out of it. But meditation taught me that it was my issue at the end of the day. And I think it helps you just to be accountable, to take things in control in your own hands instead of either blaming people or just looking outwards to, causes and issues, when a lot of times you can sort it out inside,
Exactly. Yeah.
So you went on the yoga course, and you learned about meditation, right? And then did you become a massotherapist after, or how did, you had an interesting journey, right? So from wanting to be a cop when I met you and we were chasing people in parks and getting them out because they were smoking drugs and stuff, which was hilarious. But anyways, to this, so you did the yoga thing, you did the meditation, you combine those, you start learning more about yourself, and what happens afterwards? Like you wanted to go on the massotherapist course, right? Yeah.
Well, again, it's a little bit like yoga and meditation. It was like suggested to me. It's said by my environment. Everyone like reflected in my thoughts, and that's what made me realize things.
Yeah.
So again, it was my parents that even my sister said, like, I would see you as a massage therapist. It's like in the domain of yoga and wellness and everything.
It's all connected.
Yeah. Exactly. So I was like, I like doing good and I want to help people. Yeah. So that's a good approach to having them to talk about wellness and talk about other practices. Yeah. So I said, why not? I can do this, and I haven't found my niche or a job that I'm inspiring to do. I only did those practices for my personal growth.
Yeah.
So as I did the course, I just fell in love with it because it goes more into the explanation of the physiology of the body and how things goes and how everything moves, because massage therapy is all about of movement. You do the movement for the muscle for the other person. All the metabolism gets moving by the maneuvers of massage therapy. So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And so since I fell in love with that, I went to just nearby at the Nordik.
Yeah.
It's right beside me. So obviously it's one of the biggest spa and it has a good reputation.
Yeah, for
and,
sure. It's amazing.
Exactly. It's a wellness center, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They're really going towards that, which is one thing I really respect them for. Yeah, it's the wellness. So
cool. So going to the massage, right? So this podcast is about giving people tricks, tips, and helping them, improve their life and their overall well-being. So for people who don't understand really what massages do, I'm sure many people had massage before, and just from the surface, like it relaxes your muscle, it makes you feel good, whatever. But I want to dig deeper with you and to really go at the core of what it does to the body. So if you could explain to our listeners what you've learned with massage and like being a massotherapist at the Nordik. So the various techniques, I know some people use rocks, there's suction cups, whatever, tons of things. So if you could expand on that and just explain how it works for the body.
Yeah. So simple enough. Massage therapy is about getting things moving.
Okay.
So like I said about the house, having the tools and everything, it's always nice to clean up after doing construction. Everything that we do, we either put something and leave something behind.
Okay.
So there'll be some waste. Okay. As we do exercises, we're going to create waste. We're going to create new cells, dead cells, everything like that. Yeah. So things get moving.
Okay.
But we have to keep them moving so that the waste get processed.
Okay.
If they're not getting processed, they're going to go into myofascial contractions. So it's going to do these knots, which we all have. We can't get away from them. So obviously the big question here is the knots. How do we get rid of them? What do they do? How they're created? And everything for the massage therapy has to do with we're moving the myofascials or the fascias.
Okay.
The fascias are a big web of tissue that we have all in our body.
Yeah.
They surround every tissue. So either nerves, bones, muscles, skin, you have fascias. So these fascias are mostly water. So they'll help evacuate toxins. They'll help maintain structures together. Yeah. Some even believe that consciousness is within the fascias.
For real?
So it's a big network. Yeah. Okay. It's a big network that you have all around your body. And it's been proven that even if you just do the slightest touch somewhere, it will affect the whole web of the fascia.
Okay.
So that's why sometimes there's types of therapists that they will do maneuvers to either your hips or something like that, just to do an alignment on your shoulders or your upper back, because everything is connected. Yeah. So massage therapy will really help either with alignment, help evacuate the waste, decontract those knots or those contractions. Okay. And all of that will just get everything flowing back. Obviously, you can do that by exercises, by doing self-massage.
Foam rollers,
exactly.
Like that. Okay.
So that's all really good. And massage therapy also has a lot of benefits for the nervous system. It can either relax, activate. There's a lot of techniques. Yeah. And they're all very helpful for the physiology of the body. So
cool. So you're saying that basically a knot is what, toxins that were stuck within the muscle fibers? If you would go to that,
Yeah. So it does the contraction, it does the knot. And for that is because they were in an acidic environment. And that's how the fascias contract. They're not, there's not enough water and they aren't getting loose enough or being worked. Okay. So the fascias, when you put compressions on them, they will release. So that's when it's called myofascial release. Yeah. And with that, that's when you can deal with the contractions. Because sometimes you can have contractions, the knot cannot be unbroken just like that in the spur of the moment. Yeah. It can take days, take weeks, take months you have also to be careful with that. Just not just pressing at some point and miraculously disappears. There's a whole lot of chain of events that you have to do, and a whole lot of things that you have to do other than massage therapy as well.
Yeah. So is there a way to prevent getting knots? Like you have to be well hydrated, doing stretches and stuff like that? Or when you have a knot, you're kind of like fucked basically. It's too late. You got to address the knot and get it massaged or foam roll it. You know, or do they just go away on their own?
They could go away on their own, but then again, there's something that you probably did either in your diet, that you did either in your lifestyle that changed your body. Since our body is always changing every moment.
Yeah.
So that's the important thing. You always have to do something. Get moving.
Yeah.
You're always going to have some knots. We're not going to hide ourselves from that. We're always going to have pain. We're all going to have good days and bad days.
Yeah.
So the best thing is how to deal with them. And my major suggestion would be just to do whatever you like by moving. So it can be either running, yoga and stretches.
Yeah.
I highly recommend, because those have a direct impact on the lymph system and also the fascias, which will help release a lot of tensions, either mentally and physically as well. So.
Okay. And do you think that tension is emotional as well? So can you get like knots and tension in your back, let's say, from just stress, from just, having a stressful event or something?
Obviously, I would totally agree with that. The direct impact would be our breathing at that point.
Okay.
So if you're in a stressful situation or flight or fight mode, your breathing changes immediately.
Okay.
If you're going to do a discourse and something on a stage and you're fright, so your breathing is going to change. You're going to be your physiology is going to change. A lot of things changes when situations happens to you.
Okay.
And that's all in your mind. So your mind, it can literally give you hormones, give you happy feelings or sad feelings. Your mind is the center of the experience. The experience is not there, but is going through here, and then it's felt in the body.
Yeah.
So some situations, yes, can lead to those things.
Okay. Yeah. And I was reading a book, and it was talking about the mindset, right? And I was saying that if you change your mindset, you change your emotions, right? So basically, if you think, because you cannot control really emotions, but you can control your mindset. And it comes to, I guess, what you were saying, that if you change what's going on in your head, then the rest of the body will follow, right? Meaning that if you always have a negative outlook on life, every day it's going to be negative, right? You're going to feel negative, you're going to feel down, you're going to feel depressed. But if you change your mindset and you think about positive things, right, you should be able to change your emotions and ultimately the way you feel in a more positive way. So I don't know if you agree with that, but
yeah, well, just like winter, I think we can all agree, and scientists also have agreed that during winter there's a little bit more depression. Not necessarily the mental state of depression, but just that your energy is going to get a little bit lower. Just because of the darkness. We have a little bit less sunlight, and all of those things are influenced by external causes. But then again, like you said, you can just, either your mindset can put you back on the ground, and it can, you can keep moving forward, and either you accept that winter is going to pass, and maybe I don't like winter, maybe I like it, I don't know. So you're just going to move with it, you're going to deal with it, you accept it, and you can still have a winter with a smile on. So
yeah, well, it's true that the sun is a form of energy, right? And we absorb it. So the less sun we have, a little bit less energy we get, right? We don't really get energy from the darkness or the,
Yeah, exactly. But the sun is pretty much vitamin D, and that's why they say take vitamin D in the winter. So
compensate the lack of sun. Yeah,
exactly, and keep your metabolism going. So
okay, and I don't know what you think about earthing. So earthing is really grounded your foot on the ground or on the grass without shoes,
Oh, earthing?
Yeah, earthing, sorry. So that's how you call it. So we're talking about all those concepts today, guys. It's a mix of a bit of everything, but we're just trying to get you to understand different things here. So yeah, I was watching a documentary on a guy that really lowers his inflammation throughout his body by doing earthing. So by grounding his foot on the grass or the ground or walking barefoot in the nature. So I've started doing this little experiment when I go to the park with my dogs. I take my shoes off and I just put my feet on the grass, direct grass, and it's truly amazing because when you do it, you feel the changes in your body right away. You start feeling better, and I think that's you working at the spa too. They have waterfalls and stuff, so that when the water breaks, it's I think the release of positive ions or
ions.
Negative, positive. I'm not sure.
Negative ion, yeah.
Negative ions. Yeah. So the more you're exposed to negative ions, it rebalances your body because with the phones and all the
exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know what's your take on that, earthing.
So yes, I've heard of that, and I heard that everything has frequencies, and in order to be in frequency with the earth and the ground, you have to be barefoot. And it has a lot of benefits. I can't go really into details with that, but what I do know is that when you're touching anything like my water bottle, technically I'm not even touching it. So no atoms really touch.
Yeah.
If they touch, it's mostly dangerous.
Okay.
Atoms.
Yeah.
So they're always apart if you zoom in really close to atoms.
Yeah.
So what happens is I'm in connection with this field, and this field right now is exchanging information. So that field that is repulsing me from touching the atoms of this water bottle are exchanging me message. Is it cold? Is it hot?
Okay.
Is it hard? Is it soft? There's an exchange of information. You have information there, and you can discern if it's dangerous or if it's like those things I said, it's hot or cold.
Yeah.
So obviously by putting your feet on the earth, you go back to nature. Your feet are on the grass. You're in nature. You either with the sunlight as well. If you don't have sunlight, well, you don't have contact with that. So I'm a true believer of that. If you go back to nature will
heal you or fix you or exchange with you what you're missing, right?
Exactly. And the more you go to the base of things, like just talking about the respiration and breathing, that's one of the most essential things is air. Yeah. Maybe before that would be light because we came out of the light. So those are fundamental things that if we go back to, obviously there's going to be good repercussions.
Yeah. So to go to breathing, let's talk about this then. What can you control with your breathing based on your experience and what you've learned with yoga and stuff? So let's dig into that.
So I'm pretty sure for all of you that are listening to this, if you haven't heard of Wim Hof, I would totally suggest to go and listen to him and learn his techniques. He has a lot of techniques on breathing, on cold exposures and everything like that.
For people who don't know, it's this crazy guy. He's an older guy, and he goes and he climbs mountains and boxers and goes in cold water for hours. I think he owns the world record, does he? For cold exposure?
He did a lot of world records. Some are breaking his records because of his techniques.
Yeah, they stole his secret.
yeah, but he likes it. He enjoys it. Yeah, because people are spreading the good experience and what it does. So.
Yeah. So to go to that, this is what caught my attention. I'm reconnecting with him. I just saw a Facebook post that you were showing a video of you going in cold water. And I was like, that's interesting. I've heard of it. And then I saw you did it. And we're going to put that video up so you can see what crazy Stephane here is doing. But so let's talk about the breathing and how you're able to control cold exposure with breathing. And why would you even want to go in cold water in the first place and be crazy like that?
So when we're just running, we're going to build stamina, either with the lungs or the heart.
Yeah.
Everything in our body can get conditioned. And the lungs are a pretty big kind of type of muscle because they contract and decontract. So they can control a lot of these contractions and contractions as well. So it can, that flight or fight mode that we talked about, You can use breathing to really calm yourself in those type of situations. So when stress comes in, we always say, "Oh, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
It'll all go fine." So just taking one deep breath can help with the situation that you'll be ahead of. So his technique is like 3 rounds of 30 breath of deeply inhaling and exhaling and just letting go.
Okay.
So by doing that, it's almost like hyperventilating.
Yeah.
So you're you're
supercharging oxygen
in your body.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's really good because it's going to bring your metabolism more alkaline, so less acid, and it's going to process a lot more in your body. So that's just an example of what it does to your body just by alternating your breathing.
So why would you want an alkaline body? What's the benefits of that?
So same thing, again, a little bit with massage therapy and everything like that. The more your body is considered acid on the scale of acidity and alkaline, the more you're going to have diseases.
Okay.
And the more your body is going to have a lot more to process, and that's not really good for your body. Yeah. Obviously, we're in an acidic environment and alkaline environment. There's not a perfect world. Obviously, it's staying somewhere in between 7 and 8 in the acidity levels.
So like balancing your pool or your spa or your hot
exactly.
tub, you wanna get it right in the middle, right? Not too acid, not too alkaline.
Yeah, and if it's not, it's going to be not that enjoyable pool. So it's the same thing with the body. So just breathing can alternate a lot of things in your body, but the most important is your experience. How does it affect you? This breathing slowly and deeply will relax you? Will it put you to sleep? Will breathing more rapid and in more shorter breath will give you more energy? So just by alternating breath alone can be both of
on the scale. It can be both. So it's an experience that people can try. Mm-hmm. So how would people do that? So let's say I want to experiment with my breathing. So what would I do?
All right. So, well, the most basic would just be to breathe with the diaphragm, just because it's going to relax. It has to do with one of the biggest cervical nerve, which is the vagus nerve. Yeah,
that's the one that connects to your diaphragm, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why they say that breathing from the belly will help you relax, and also with your digestive system also. So it's really good. That's why it's very relaxing.
Okay.
So just by doing that, that's a big step. But the Wim Hof method technically is so you take the biggest inhale that you can, so you can fill up your or just start with your belly and then your lungs. So you take the biggest breath that you can, and then after that you just let go, and you do it again 30 times.
30 times. Okay.
Exactly. And after that, after the 30th breath, you exhale, and then you keep your breath in. So you suspend your breath as long as you can. Usually you'll last more than usual. So let's say you last maybe 30 seconds by just holding your breath normally. When you do this technique, you'll maybe go 1 minute, 1 minute 30, 2 minutes. It always depends. Okay. And after that, you take one big inhale and you keep it again at least 15 seconds.
Okay.
After that, you can let go and start over.
Okay, and you would be doing that. Why? Like, why would you do the Wim Hof method? Because he uses it to go in cold water or to, show that he can last long in cold water. So why would you do this technique? How is it applicable? Like, okay, so you can hold your breath better. So if you do that prior to going underwater, because you lost your watch in the ocean, you'd be able to hold your breath better, right? So that's a good thing. But how does that translate into controlling the stress of being in cold water, for instance?
All right. So just by doing that alone, even without the cold, you'll see that your your vibrations will diminish. So if you're like a little bit stressed, a little bit like
tense,
anxiety, tense, all of that will start to not vanish, but just lower down.
Will diminish,
will diminish.
Down,
So that's just an example. Even just doing yoga and going into a position, you're letting go.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing, but you're doing that with the breath.
Okay.
So by doing that, also you build yourself stronger, because when talking about the acidity and the alkaline level, the more your body is towards alkaline and your blood that is more alkaline, your pain receptors will be more tougher, because the pain receptors are in the fascias are a lot influenced by acidity levels. The more it is acid, the more it will hurt.
Okay.
Or that you have the impression it hurts because it stimulates the pain receptors.
Okay. So by doing this breathing, you're lowering your acidity level, right?
Exactly.
So then your pain threshold is higher. So meaning you can take more pain.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why you'll be filled with a lot of feelings. The important thing is dealing with them. So you just let go, and by doing that, you're building yourself. You're all a muscle. You're gonna get stronger with that. You're gonna get wiser with that. You're gonna learn from that, because every situation is different. Like I could just be at work and have a 15 minutes break, and I could just do a little breathing, and wow, it's like, did I just wake up? Is it a brand new day right now? I wasn't feeling like that like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah,
so,
it changes the way you feel and everything.
Exactly.
With breathing. So, so to go to cold therapy, because that Wim Hof does this method. So like you're saying, it's applicable to lowering your stress, to just make your body function better, to remove acidity. So ultimately, does it lower inflammation as well?
Very much, yes.
Very much so,
that's also another key factor.
Of his method.
Yeah, exactly. So again, when going back to the house and building it and removing the materials just to have a clean property, inflammation will bring in a lot of nutrients and a lot of what your body needs to either repair or to bring attention where you need it. That's good. Inflammation is good. Cannot live without it.
Okay.
So the important thing, though, is to go anti-inflammation. So the cold is cold. Cold when we have inflammation. So let's say I have a bruise here because I knocked on something or really hard. We're always going to say, put some ice. It's going to lower the inflammation.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's always a good thing, but it's not always a good thing. It's always a good thing to put it where it needs to be.
Okay.
And when it needs to be
addressed.
Exactly. So the same thing with the cold. So we're always inflamed. We're living in an inflamed environment. It can be either with the air, the toxins, the environment, the food that we put in our body.
Yeah.
So going anti-inflammation with the cold is a definite good solution. Everyone can try it for themselves. Even just with the breathing, it can help lower the inflammation as well.
So when you combine both, because that's the Wim Hof method, right? So you're lowering your acidity with your breathing prior to going to the cold, so that when you get in the cold, you control your pain better. But the idea of getting in very cold water is because you want to ultimately lower inflammation in your body and make it function better, right? So it's a benefit of the cold to go and that's that.
Yeah, it's a direct benefit. You'll have rush of adrenaline. You'll have energy. You'll have a lower inflammation. Your fascias are gonna tighten up.
Yeah.
Your lymph system is gonna evacuate a lot of toxins because
it's a shock, right?
Exactly, it's a shock, and everything compresses. It's a big contraction.
Yeah.
So if we live in a world that we're always inflamed and open up and decontracted, and just letting flow a lot of what's in there in our body, you want to do the contrary. So you want to all squeeze it. You want to do like the heart. You want to pump it, and you want to open
relax
it up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the water does the opposite. Like the cold water will just tighten everything up, and ultimately that's when you're going to warm up again, and it releases. It will release all the toxins and everything that was okay. So I get it. So the idea really is to use the cold therapy on a regular basis to balance out being I guess, too open or too, like you're saying.
Yeah. Well, it can also with mentally. So
yeah,
either physically, mentally. That's why I always suggest people just try it, like step by step. You don't have to go. You see these videos, or even if I do like 2 minutes, 5 minutes in the cold water, it doesn't matter. I started with maybe 1 second in the water, or cold showers, or just the breathing, and just starting with something. Just observe your experience. How do you feel? Can you associate with what you just did there, and how you dealt with it?
Yeah.
And where were you? Were you inside? Were you in your thoughts? Were you try and get wiser with these experience. You want to find a solution to maybe how you're feeling. If you're not trying to find anything, no problem. Just do it for the benefits that
the health benefits
exactly.
of being cold water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's let's talk about that, because at the Nordik Spa they have a cycle, right? So you go in a very hot room, or a steam room, or either a sauna, and then you go to immediate cold, and then you go to relaxation, right?
Exactly.
So we're talking about the benefit of cold therapy, which is to get toxins moving and to improve your energy, right, and all that stuff. So what's the benefit of going to the opposite? So ultimately a lot of heat or high heat, like a sauna. So you work there, so you can explain it to us.
So the way that we explain it, or really simple, is again the heat. It opens up, it decontracts, it lets go. Everything opens up. So by opening up everything and activating a little bit more, you'll notice that you'll sweat. Sweat and water that you have in your body carries a lot of toxins. It can carry nutrients. It can carry vitamins. Or that's why it's always important to before going into the heat, that you have maybe had breakfast, a good breakfast, healthy breakfast, some water and things like that, because you're going to sweat a lot. There's going to be a lot that's activated and that your body will metabolize again. It can be either your liver, your heart rate, everything goes a little bit more up. So you're going to evacuate a lot. And so that's why going in saunas is recommended. In hot water, we don't consider at Nordik as the hot cycle. That is considered prolonged relaxation, being in the hot water. Because the saunas are the one that are going to go more into your pores and really open up your sweat glands, so they expulse all those toxins. So after that you've did that, you want to go for the thermal shock, which is again the cold. So going in the cold, it's going to close up all your pores. It's going to close up those glands. And again, with the pump, your heart's a pump, your body's a pump, contraction, it's going to cause a big contraction. And again, it's going to start flowing a lot of those nutrients that you have in your lymph system, the waste that you have in your lymph system, or your blood circulation. It's all going to help. It's going to get things moving. So the more that you move things, the more that you keep your house and all alongside it clean. So same thing in the body.
So you're basically stimulating a pump with your body, like you're being like a human pump. So you're trying to pump as maximum shit basically out of your body, right?
Exactly.
So that your body can regain its vitality and that energy can flow well and that everything works in order, right?
Yep.
So that's the idea of using hot and cold therapy, right?
Exactly.
Do you need both for maximum effect, or you can just do the cold on, let's say today I just want to do cold therapy, so I jump in a frozen lake or something. Do I get the benefit of as well, or it's maximized if I do both? So from one extreme to the other.
Obviously, it's maximized when you do both, because they're so close together. But you will have benefits with either one alone. Obviously, just by going in the cold would be better than just going in the heat, because going just in the heat and then doing nothing afterwards, maybe your pores will stay open and you can have more issues with the toxins or things that you put in your body, or get dehydrated or things like that. If you go in the cold afterwards, again, it does the pump.
So it's better, like you say, to just, if you cannot do both, just go for the cold.
The cold, because the cold will do the pump automatically.
Okay.
Because once you go out of the cold water,
you warm back up.
You open the pump again. So you did both contractions. So that's really good for your body and for all the systems that you have there. So.
Oh, okay. So I get it. So just going into a sauna and then getting out of it and doing nothing about it, you're leaving your body open, right? You're not closing it back down. Will it close back down just by your temperature lowering?
Yeah, your temperature will lower, but again, you need to give a little push to your body to help it cool down, because again, that what you just did there is open up everything, and like we talked about inflammation, that's what it does. So I mean, it's good for you, but just alone heat is not always a recommendation. You always have to cool down, either with a glass of water or a cold shower afterward, rinse off, and you'll be good to go.
So why would you say, 'cause it's very beneficial, but not so many people do it, right? So people won't go in cold water because it's uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, right? So how can people overcome that if they want the benefit without the shock or the stress? Well, they can't really get away from it, I guess.
You're always going to have to deal with it.
But you're suffering for the greater good, right? The benefits of your body. So how can people manage that better with the breathing technique, right? That you were saying? That's one way.
Yeah. So one of the solutions that Wim Hof did, he posted, it was a calendar that you always push yourself 2 seconds or 5 seconds every day.
Okay.
So you start with your shower. You do it hot every day. Don't worry. Just do it hot again. And the last 5 seconds, just do it cold. And the next day, try and build yourself with another 5 seconds, another 5 seconds. And then at the end of the month, you'll be in minutes, and just like that. So that's what's good about it. You can build yourself with the cold like that, and can build yourselves with the breath as well. If you just practice, you start maybe with 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. You do it as you feel comfortable, and you just check for yourself. Do I see a difference? Do I see benefits of that? Do I have increased energy, or are my thoughts a little bit clearer, less foggy and things like that? So.
Okay. And would you say that your thoughts are getting less foggy because you're getting toxins out of your body? So do toxins even build up in the brain? Like, can they cloud your judgment after a while, or? Well,
then again, it's with the feelings thing. So where you put your attention, that's where you're going to go with your thoughts. So going somewhere where you have an object that is present right now is obviously a good tool to work with.
Okay.
It's hard though, because we're not always stimulated by a sensation. Okay. So when you have a big sensation, a big experience, you jump out of an airplane, skydive, the experience will be very wow. I'm living it. I'm right here, right now. I'm nowhere else. I'm not living the past. I'm not living the future.
No, you're totally focused on jumping off that plane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the cold, that's my main observance that I saw. Yeah. It's that for the next, in the winter, anyways, if I went there for a couple minutes in the cold water, for the next hour, I will be in the present. Because I have a lot of sensations. There's a lot going, and it really helps me either with my energy. Obviously, the cold will wake you up really quick. It's a shock.
No, exactly.
And afterwards, while I heat up, sometimes it can be uncomfortable, like going too much in the cold, and then when your hands defreeze and
you
get hotter and
tingling and everything.
Exactly. So when you observe that for the next couple of moments, next hour or whatever, you're there in the moment, and how you deal with it is gonna determine a lot of other situations that how you deal with them. Because at the base, everything is just sensation. If your boss or family member upsets you, how are you going to deal with it? Because it comes to you as a sensation. It's like, he's bothering me. I want to do this. I'm going to push him or whatever. What brought you to that moment of saying to yourself, I'm going to harm somebody else? You must have felt something in you to do that. So all those situations, breath, meditation, cold water will obviously help you, because you know how to deal with that situation. It's going to help you deal with also a lot of other situations.
So basically, dealing with that stress and being in the moment will translate into other areas of your life.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Well, that's what I learned with meditation too. You know, when you're able to calm your mind and stuff, then you're less reactive to the world when there's stressful stuff.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so I was all curious about trying the cold thing because I've never really got into it because it's uncomfortable as fuck. So you don't really want to get into cold water. But yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get into it.
Well, since this summer is gonna get hotter.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna buy one of these tubs that I saw Wim Hof's and his students that they use. It's like the metal tubs that the horses drink in them.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to grab one of those, and I'm going to try to buy some gallons of water or liters of water. Yeah. Just put them in the freezer and then fill that tub and add the ice in there. Okay. And I'm going to have my ass bath for the summer. So if you want to try it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you're going to need a lot of ice unless the tub is really compact. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty compact. It's like 4 feet long. So you're pretty much crouched. Yeah.
Cool. So to come back to like wrapping all of this together, what would be your general tips for people to improve their well-being? Or let's say like a practice or something you can do regularly. Where would you start?
Well, even just for me, like it took a lot of my environment to help me go and realize those things for myself. Yeah. This lady at my job that talked to me about chakras, I put a lot of emphasis on her because she really helped me. She opened up my eyes to a whole different world, and then I open up into that world, and I accept it. Same thing with my sister that suggested me yoga and massage therapy. So yeah, all those things, I would say, keep your eyes open and always like enjoy the present moment, because the present moment is the only moment that we have. We cannot aspire something that we want in the future, or once this crisis is over, then I'm gonna be happy. The moment is now. And I'm sure you had you had another podcast on the present.
Yeah, the
moment.
Power of now.
The power of now.
It's a concept I learned too, right? Because we get anxiety from thinking about the past and worries about thinking about the future. And
exactly.
It's kind of true. A lot of times, most people they're not in the moment. You know, they're always thinking what I have to do for supper, for instance. So I could be talking with you, but thinking about what's coming up, or tomorrow or next week, or. Mm-hmm. And then it makes people not having an enjoyable, fully present moment. And, if you live your whole life not being present, you basically never lived.
Exactly. You were never there.
You were never even there,
Yeah.
So I think that's a very good point that you brought up to, experiment more with being in the present. Yeah. And like you said, cold water will take all your ideas away of your mind and really put you into that shock right now, then experience. So that can be a good lesson to learn, right?
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be cold water. It can be, if you love going cycling or running or playing volleyball, skiing, then do those things. But we always have to bring wiseness in them. Like, how will I build myself with that? Am I going to be a good person coming out of that situation? Or how do I deal with myself? Like, do I always try to push even harder and I'm hard on myself? So it's really of an experience and observing that experience. How did I deal with that reaction?
And then ultimately that will make you learn a lot more about yourself and life and situations and how to handle stuff, right? Yeah. So yeah, I've read something once, and it was saying that if you're not growing, you're dying. Like basically, if you're not trying to improve yourself and learn new things and new experience and experiment and stuff like that, you're dying basically, right? Yeah. And I'm happy that we got on that journey of like expanding our horizon, you and I, and just gathering more knowledge and things to improve ourselves, ultimately for our own good, but for the people around us as well, right? Yeah. So that's something that people can try to do. and ultimately it should, really help you in all areas of your life. So
exactly.
So anyways, we'll wrap this up. I want to thank you for being on the podcast. That's awesome. So
thank you for inviting me.
And I hope our listeners learned a bit more about what they can do and, to improve their well-being. So it was very informative, and you're good at explaining it. So thanks for being there.
Perfect. Well, thanks you, Matt.
All right. Ciao, guys.
Ciao.